Father President Marstan, members of the Xavier Ateneo Board of Trustees, Xavier University administrators, faculty and staff. I have some special guests here, my partners in mission, our graduates especially of 2023, 2024, your parents and families, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our valedictorian and our favor awardee. You are wonderful representatives of your class. You have inspired all of us here and inspired your class. Thank you for your commitment to really do the best for our people and our country. I'd like to also remember and honor my fellow awardees, Archbishop Nanding Capalla and Father June Mercado, who are very close personal friends. I'll have to ask Archbishop Nanding kung anong sagot ng Diyos kung bakit medyo mahaba kanyang buhay. No? I'm 84, so medyo mahaba na rin. Maybe you can explain to me why God gives us long lives or short lives. Thank you very much, Father Marstan, the Xavier University Board of Trustees, and the whole Xavier Ateneo community for this great honor. It is 31 years since I left Xavier for Manila, but I have kept in touch with friends and keep warmest memories of my years here. I saw a few of the faculty, Dr. Dulce Dawang, Dr. Virgil Capin here, several others. I'm sorry if I did not notice you, but I do remember my years here very fondly with you. My warmest congratulations to our graduates. After 16 or 17 years, I remember meeting a mother after graduation at Ateneo de Manila. Sabi niya, after 17 years sa wakas, nakatapos din. I'm sure your parents feel the same way after so long. So after 17 years of making sacrifices and worrying over you, your parents and family can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Sa wakas, nakatapos din kayo. So let us give your parents a warm round of applause. We have applauded for you. We should applaud for your parents then and your families. Pasalamatin din natin ang iyong mga guro, your teachers, the Xavier administrators and staff. Without them, wala rin kayo dito. So thank you very much, Father Mars, and the whole of the Xavier U community. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry, I was hoping to. Above all, let us give thanks to God for always being with you and taking care of you. Commencement speakers are usually expected to share words of wisdom on how you, our graduates, can navigate the world of work and how the real world that you are now entering. I have three. First is work hard. Life is difficult, work hard. Two, when you face difficult challenges, pray for courage. Don't give up. Pray for courage and push on. And third, keep faith with God, with your family, and close friends. First, work hard. The most memorable lesson from my father was telling us almost every evening at dinner, mahirap ang buhay. Life is difficult. Or we're Ilocano, so he said, "Nari ka tibiyag anak ko," he would tell us. So we have to work hard. I pass on that same wisdom to you. Life is challenging, work hard. Secondly, be persistent and courageous. When our Father Provincial in 1989 assigned me to come here as president in 1990, he told me that one of my most important jobs was to resolve a debt that Xavier U had. I actually worked on it for a year and a half, and I got nowhere talking to the banks. After a year and a half, I was ready to give up. Eventually, I realized that the only possibility was to develop land that Xavier U had in Upper Balula, what is now Xavier Estates and Xavier Heights. Pero it was very difficult because we had 300 urban poor families who were there, and they were strong in opposition, and medyo galit sila sa Xavier. Marami silang mga signs na nagsasabi, SJ, saksi ni Judas. No? So we had a tough time negotiating with them. But Through courageous and persistent efforts, we finally won them over. And I would like to thank a lot of my team here, Dr. Mel Pagtulunan, Gani Antes Daba, Trel Borja, Nani Pacana, and I think someone else with us like Raquel Polistico. It is really persistence and courage. So huwag sumuko, be persistent. You never know what will happen. We actually look back and we think that our development, Xavier Heights and several states, actually began the development of what is now the new uptown Cagayan de Oro. So huwag sumuko, you never know what God will reward you with. Finally, keep faith with God, with your family and loved ones. Or you may think that the most important thing in your life is your career, but you will face downtimes. And the only ones who will be with you are those close to you, your family, close friends, God. So keep faith with them, keep faith with them. Beyond success in your careers, you are called as graduates of a Jesuit university to be men and women for others. Or as you sing in the Savior hymn, to give your lives that others may live. To give your lives that others may live. A very, very challenging and very inspiring motto. During the last week of May, I was here with a group from EdCom 2 to learn about the Xavier Youth School of Education Night School. We are looking at ALS programs, and we were very interested in looking at your night school. For the dropouts and homeless in people who are so near and so far in this divisoria. I and my whole team were very impressed. You have reached out to give hope to people most of society have given up on. Pope Francis, in a book, Let Us Dream, written during the pandemic, invited us to look at another pandemic and another virus, the virus and pandemic of indifference. This pandemic, he says, is the result of constantly looking away. Sabi niya, be careful, you might get a stiff neck from always looking away. Thank you for not looking away. Thank you for offering hope to many who probably have given up hope. You have also gone beyond giving them hope. You have invited them into the Xavier U community. We are very struck by that. You hold your classes on campus. You have given them Xavier U IDs, making them part of the Xavier U community, becoming one people with them. Pope Francis tells us, and we always think that progress is economic, but Pope Francis says no. Progress comes when we become a people, when we really become a people caring for one another. That is the beginning of real progress. And you have done this. And he quotes a Bengali poet, Rabindranath Tagore, who said, "Thou hast made me known to friends I knew not. You have brought the distant near and made a brother and sister of the stranger." You have made a brother and sister of the stranger. Mga taong labas mo minsan. The journey to becoming a people begins by working and struggling together and sharing stories and life. So I would like to tell you stories of shared struggle and hope in my visits to Mindanao, especially in the recent years. And I invite you, our graduates, all of you here, to share stories with one another so that years from now, you will look back on your years at Xavier, not just in terms of academic success, but as a time when you became friends with one another, got to know one another, become community, become one people for Mindanao and for the Philippines. In 2005, I went with Synergia Foundation to UPI in Maguindanao to launch a large education project. I went with Dr. Nene Guevara, longtime president of Synergia Foundation, and a fellow awardee. She was also got a Dr. Honoris Causa from Xavier U in 2012. We went there to launch a large education program. We had an education summit with the whole community, and I was struck especially in talking with the mothers. I spent time with the mothers. There were Muslims, Christians, Tiruray. As I listened to them, they spoke of a lot of problems, conflict. They had to flee oftentimes because of conflict, poverty. But above all, what struck me is that they all shared the same hope. They all spoke of the same dream, a good education for their children and a better life. They know that maybe their life would have changed, but they really prayed that their children would have a better life. So this is the first thing. This is a dream, I'm sorry, fulfilled now for you. Your parents have worked hard for that dream, and you have achieved it now. Others are still praying and dreaming of it. So lesson one, we are a very diverse people. We often seem to belong to many tribes and differences, and we're sometimes often divided. But in my moving around the country, we are all united in one dream, especially mothers and fathers, a good education for our children. I also became friends with many mayors and deputy officials of Maguindanao over the years of going there regularly. And I was very much touched when I retired as president of Ateneo de Manila in 2011 that many of them came. So thank you to Dr. Nene for bringing them there. When I stepped down as president of the Ateneo de Manila in 2011, after 40 years of university and Jesuit leadership, I was dean of Ateneo School of Arts and Sciences in the 1970s, rector of Loyola House and provincial in the 1980s. I was president here in the early 1990s, and then president of Ateneo de Manila for 18 years. I felt that was enough. That was enough leadership at the top. So I asked our provincial if I could step down from university and Jesuit leadership and have more time to spend on the ground with friends and leaders in Ateneo de Manila Social Development, with Synergia Foundation, with Gawad Kalinga. And it's been for me a wonderful journey, a journey of becoming known to friends that I did not know earlier, of finding the distant near, to quote Tagore. Let me begin with Marawi. Malapit lang sa iyo ang Marawi. Malapit pero malayo rin, di ba? Soon after the beginning of the siege in May 2017, we got a call from the then Armed Secretary of Education, John Magno, if Gawad Kalinga could start a feeding program for children in the evacuation center in Sagyaran, the nearest evacuation center for Marawi. Our GK team, led by Gabi Tombok here and Sina Novel Rino, responded immediately. And by the beginning of June, we were setting up a kusina ng Kalinga in Sagyaran. Only to realize that we were actually very near the battlefield, very near. The kitchen floor would shake in the bombing. You could see the flares, you could see the planes. Eh, medyo natakot kami. Our leaders began to say, baka sa panganib ang team natin, maybe we should withdraw. But our team leader, Gabi Tombok here, sabi niya, we can see and hear the planes and the bombing, but we can also see and hear the children. Dapat we should just decide kung sino pakikinggan natin. And she said, I think we should listen to the children. So we listened to the children and stayed there. So now, 2024, 7 years later, we're still there. We still have a kusina ng Kalinga in Marawi. You saw pictures in the video that we had with you. What was important there is that aside from the feeding program, the kusina ng Kalinga, the kitchen has become a center of encounter. It is there where we meet officials, with teachers, with parents, and really become friends with the community. And some of them are here. Ma'am Ramla is here. Bay Anisaguro is here, representing the friends that we have there. In 2009, I was invited to the to be graduation speaker for the pupils in the Marawi Pilot School in Sagongsungan. Ang principal ay si Ma'am Ramla dito. I was seated with her in front with all the teachers around us. It was a very moving ceremony kasi itong mga bata, they were all evacuees. They had all fled with just the clothes on their back. And it was very moving to see that a few years later, graduate sila. So it was a very emotional graduation. Ma'am Chiki, the Marawi Schools Division Superintendent, she said in one interview, we did not expect a priest to come to us who are non-Christians, but Father Ben and Gawad Kalinga had a strong will to help their Muslim brothers and sisters in need. And this has built a bond of friendship between us, Muslims and Christians. Ma'am Ramla, who I mentioned earlier, the principal of the pilot school, said, nagpapasalamat ako kay Father Ben dahil kahit magkaiba kami ng relihiyon, pwede kaming magsama sa isang layunin. Isang layunin which is to take care of the children. So lesson 2, the way forward to becoming a people beyond interreligious dialogue is actually by sharing a mission of caring. We don't discuss religion, but we just work together for the children. Pope Francis calls it ecumenism in charity. We become one in faith by caring for those in need. So that's the second I'd like to tell you, that maybe beyond interreligious dialogue, working together for the poor, for those in need, is a way of becoming friends with those who are strangers, with those that we did not know before. So I'd like to thank the team there, Sister Noel Grino, and Dina who are here, and Gabi. Last story. You think of Siargao as the General Luna, or the surfing is, pero that's an outlier. If you go to Siargao, most of it is very poor. So I was there just before the end of May, visiting Gawad Kalinga communities. And one very special visit was to a woman, Nanay Jan, a very amazing woman. She comes from a sitio Leonan, which is so backward that it was called sitio illiterate. Nobody there could read or write. She only finished first year high school. But she took it on herself to start tutoring the children, 40 children. Even though they only earn a little from the fishing of her husband, she fed the children there. I was there with Alni Aspiel, who is our GK worker in Siargao and Dinagat. As I said, Nanay Jen herself had only finished first year high school, but she took it on herself to teach 40 children how to read and write, and she would bring them by banca to another sitio. The school was in another sitio. From their meager earnings, she provided meals for the children. Her story was featured in a YouTube video. You should watch it. It's called Boat to School by Howie Severino. And it really moved many people. Friends called me, much moved by the story, and they said they wanted to meet manager, and they were asking how they can help. So the last lesson I want to share with you. In your world of work, the so-called real world, I think the world on the ground is much more real. You may feel that people are only interested in their own success. Simply drive for competitiveness and success. Sometimes it can be a dog-eat-dog world. I invite you to connect with communities on the ground. Maybe a public elementary school near you, maybe a Gawad Kalinga community. You will find Nanay Jens there. Poor people, but who give generously not from their abundance, but from their scarcity. And as with me, your encounter with them will renew your faith in our country and in our people. As I end, I would like to thank my friends and partners in mission, several of whom are here. Some have traveled from Manila with me, Dr. Bopi Franco, Ma'am Janet Ko, and Father Mamet Manuos. Thank you for our journeying together, for our children and our people. To our graduates, congratulations again as you leave Xavier Ateneo and enter the world of work. I wish you all blessings and success as you now seek to repay your parents for all the sacrifices over the last 17 years. I also ask you to find time beyond your career and work to look around at the many children and youth just embarking on their journey to where you are today. Malayo pa ang landas na tatakakahin nila. Do find time to be with them. Maybe tutor a kid or two how to read. Napakarami ang hindi marunong magbasa ating bayan. It doesn't take that much for you to take time to tutor them. And you will find your caring rewarded 100-fold. I can assure you, you will be rewarded 100-fold. So as I end, may you all have a full and fulfilled life. And I pray that your life may also be a blessing to many. Good day to all of you. Maraming salamat for this award.